people have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world.
We don't sleep to dream, we sleep to build stamina, energy to do our thing. Get your camera up. This show is about to begin, so sit down and buckle it in. Let's go!
Yeah, buddy. Where's that button? All right, well, my stream deck is not working. Hey, what you doing? Welcome to the BRANE Show. My name is Brian, that is Shane, and you are here with us on a Saturday, and I appreciate you viewing us. Shane, how you doing today, brother?
You know, I think we've done the show 200 and how many times?
207 times.
We still can't push the button. It's amazing. Listen,
I went to push it and it just gave me an error. That's the problem when you don't use any of these like prefabricated
right.
softwares.
You make it's everything's so cool. You make it more complicated. You've made it so complicated that literally nobody else can do it. You guys want to know why we don't do a show when Brian's around? Because I literally can't do it. It is so high tech and incredible that Brian has created that I physically can't do it. But anyways, thank you guys. Good to see you on the happy Saturday, March 1st. February is over. We'll never see it again. Brian, how are you doing?
I'm okay. How you doing?
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, you know, living the dream.
I'm okay. Yeah. Well, now that February is over and March is upon us, what is the big things that we have going on in our life? What do we got to do here?
Now that March is upon us?
Yeah. What's happening this month that's going to be such a big deal for us? The fact that you said that means that we were really messing up.
I feel like this is a trick question.
No, there's no trick question to it. First off, hey, listen, we got a super chat here from our wonderful. I just lost my entire thing here. We just got a super chat here, and there's birthdays to go around here. Somebody's having a birthday today.
Oh,
Drew
yeah,
D
okay.
is having a birthday today. Happy birthday, Drew.
Happy birthday, Drew.
I actually have to do this on my phone now. Like watch our show.
It's so weird. My stream deck like reverted to like the one before the computer crash, and I'm not even sure how. So now I can't use my stream deck.
Anyways, Christy's Corner, thank you for the $9.99 in honor of our birthday buddies, Drew D, and also Penny, who has a birthday next Friday. So anyways, happy birthday to everybody. Hope you guys are doing great. And I think we have a great show today, Brian. What in the heck are we going to talk about?
We're talking about the Zelenskyy Trump meeting where everything was fine for about 35 minutes and then it just went off the rails. We're going to talk about that. We're also talking about the Elon Musk. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. The tech part of me is like trying to figure out why something's not working while I'm talking. I shouldn't do that. We're also going to talk about the Elon Musk, Joe Rogan interview, at least a little bit of it, a very small amount of it, but it's good. We're talking about male Botox. Some tech bros are deciding to increase the girth of their manhood.
What?
With this new procedure. And wait until I explain more. It's actually insane.
Sounds insane.
Also, Jeff Bezos bans Washington Post opinion writers opposing free speech. It's funny how you ban opinion writers so that because they're opposing free speech, but you're actually limiting their speech. So it's an interesting topic.
So you're limiting theirs. Well, here's the thing. You can have free speech, but your butt works for me. Let me just remind you.
Right. That's pretty much
that's the difference. Yeah. You work for me.
I just find it hilarious that like the second Trump won, all these tech guys are like, oh, we're free speech.
Yeah.
We love free speech. I'm like, oh, do you now? Where
Well,
were
it's
you the
hilarious.
last 4 years?
Yeah.
Bro?
No, it's hilarious. When I joined the Navy, I became a journalist, right? And so I was taught that journalism is about free speech and make sure you write the correct story and be on top of everything. But what I quickly learned was my free speech went as far as the Navy wanted me to do free speech. And it kind of works that way for any company.
Right. Also, and we're going to talk about this in this first story, but apparently they caught Zelenskyy under his breath saying something rather untoward to JD Vance. And it's funny because if you're a gamer, you've probably heard this in your matches.
Okay. Looking forward to that one.
Okay, guys. How can you support us? Well, you can. Oh, by the way, we're not on Rumble or X right now because we had some problems with the multi-streamer. It just didn't work. So
Didn't happen.
The best we could
Which
do
makes
was,
no sense. It worked every other week. Now all of a sudden, boom, it just doesn't work.
weird. Like every time I activated it, like the audio just stopped working, and I couldn't explain it, and I don't have time to fix it. So
I hate
next time.
computers.
But if you do want to support us, you can hit the join button below. And Shane, we're gonna explain what we're gonna be doing with the members section now. You can super chat if you want, and you can also go to this. Oh, I can't actually use the super. I keep trying to use the Stream Deck, but it reverted to some other old version. You can go here. Where is it? Right there. You can go to mxtz.co/the Show or brain and buy one of these sweet things. We're going to be putting up Elon Musk's shirt next week. The one that says where he's wearing it just says tech support.
Tech support, yeah.
I wanted to get that done today, but I didn't have time. But Shane's shirt, the one he's wearing right now, this Gen X shirt is pretty awesome. I wish I got one of those. And my hat, the one I'm wearing right here. You can support us that way if you want.
Are you Gen X or are you millennial? I can't remember.
I'm at the very end of Gen X.
You're at the very okay. So yes, I think you're right. When did Gen X end? 1980.
1980, yeah.
Okay, that the year you were born.
Yep.
So you can wear it. You can wear it. Otherwise, don't wear our damn shirt. I'm just saying. Like if you're not Gen X,
if you're not
don't
Gen
be wearing
X,
the shirt.
we're gatekeeping this. You cannot wear a Gen X shirt if you're not Gen
We're going to
X.
be checking when you place an order. I'm going to actually look you up through
we're gonna
Elon's
make sure
system.
that you are born before 80 and after a certain date, whatever that
and
is.
Elon has all of your information. You know he's underhandedly taking everybody's info. So I'll just get in touch with him and get your age.
Yeah,
so don't worry.
that's right.
You don't want to be a boomer. You know what's funny is like making a boomer shirt. We need to come up with a good one for a boomer shirt because boomers have been like, now it's like a bad word to be a boomer. Like the Gen Z people and the alpha people now make fun of boomers by saying, what is it they say? Like,
Okay.
oh
boomer.
yeah, okay boomer, right? See, being a Gen X is cool. I'm just saying.
Yeah, a couple of super chats to address. First off, Christy's Corner hits us up with $9.99 in honor of our birthday brothers. Thank you, Christy's Corner. We appreciate you.
Thank you,
for the
Christy.
support. And Chappie coming in hot with Hiya Brain Show bros and chat. I'm late and I'm not straight, so I'm paying the toll.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you, my homosexual friend.
I'm late. I'm not straight. Let's get to the gate. Come on.
Okay. All right. So let's jump right into it, man. So this Trump-Zelenskyy meeting was... You know what's interesting? When was the last time you saw I feel like these are the kind of meetings that happen behind closed doors and we've just never seen them. And now all of a sudden, like, this is the most transparent administration ever. Because, like, they're literally just filming and everything. Like we said last week, Trump is like the ultimate Twitch streamer. He's just streaming him running the government.
Dude, I got to tell you, I've been around a long time. I've been following politics my entire life. I've seen a lot of crazy things. I saw George W. Bush duck as a shoe tried to fly right at his head while he was giving a press conference. I've seen George H.W. Bush fall asleep in his soup during a meeting. I think it was in China. Let me tell you something. What happened yesterday was the height of all. I've never seen anything this crazy ever happen on a stage. Typically because we don't usually have like you were saying, these are usually backdoor types of issues. But what was happening is we had all this bubbling over events that had kind of occurred. And I think the straw that broke the camel's back happened to be during this thing. And it just goes to show that this administration, visibility and transparency above all else, because they're just not afraid to bring the heat no matter whether the cameras are on or not. So if you want to go through a little bit about what was happening.
Yeah. So what the media is not telling you is that what they keep showing you is the last few minutes of this, where JD Vance went on the, offensive, so to speak, and Trump backed him up. They're calling, JD Vance and President Trump bullies. But what they didn't tell you is that, the first 38 minutes of this thing were completely different. It was actually pretty cordial. problem is Zelenskyy continually interrupted, continually acted frustrated, kept trying to insult Putin. I felt like he was trying to goad Trump into saying something negative that would effectively hurt the peace negotiations. And what's sort of despicable about this is that the legacy media is showing you a little tiny portion of this of a 42-minute interview talk where Trump was for 38 minutes of that extremely kind, extremely giving, and just trying to keep the peace. And after 38 minutes, finally J.D. Vance speaks up, and all hell breaks loose.
Well, and when J.D. Vance, so by the way, this was days in coming. So Zelenskyy has been missing meetings. He overslept a bunch of meetings. He's not been taking, kind of working with the Trump administration very seriously. And I'll tell you why I think this is, and anybody can appreciate this. So, what you guys got to understand is that Zelenskyy, he doesn't want to end the war. He wants to win the war.
Right.
Okay. And he wants Europe and the USA to make whatever sacrifice it takes to help him do that. The problem is Russia is a nuclear nation. And the best we can hope for is to continue funneling money until Russia decides it's too tired of losing people over this land grab. That's kind of what we're hoping for. Russia will not lose.
Yeah, this is an unwinnable war.
Yeah. So Russia will not lose. They'll launch and destroy the world before they lose. Okay, launch nuclear missiles and destroy the world.
Yep.
Okay, so what comes first? Does the USA go broke or does Russia quit fighting? Okay, is this fight worth us putting our future generations at risk? There's a lot of tough questions here with this whole thing, but the best thing for us is for the war to end no matter what, right? So that's what's best for us. We stop spending money.
That's what's best for the world, Shane.
Well, that's what's best for us. I'm not thinking about the world right now.
For everyone, yes, us, for sure, yes.
No, the rest of the world, it doesn't really impact the rest of the world that greatly. We're talking about
World War III would be bad for everyone.
World War III won't happen if the war ends. Okay? So Zelenskyy and the Ukrainians are willing to die for their land. Listen, I understand that. I would be willing to die for my land too.
Sure.
But the problem here is we simply don't have the same skin in the game. So Zelenskyy, right, when he does not want to capitulate to Putin at all. Putin, attacked them. Putin took their land. Okay, sure. He was the aggressor. Now Trump can't say this stuff because if he ever wants Putin to come to the table, he's going to have to be very even ground about this.
Diplomatic.
But here's the thing, diplomatic. But the problem is Zelenskyy. We don't have to be diplomatic with Zelenskyy. He's got all of our money. We've been backing him this whole time. He belongs to us. Okay. The reason why he's still is because America helped him. That's it. This war would have been over really fast. Trump's not wrong about that. So, but what he's been doing since Biden took office is he's been bullying and pushing America into giving more money and more support. You have to support us. And so what happened in that meeting yesterday is he was saying the same old thing. America, you have to support us. We have to have security guarantee. He was pushing. What he should have done is just said, just shut up and let Trump do his thing. Zelenskyy doesn't have to take a deal that he doesn't want to take. If he wants to keep fighting, if Trump, Ukraine, and Russia go to the table and make a deal, and he doesn't like it, they can just get their asses kicked, and that's fine. But the problem is you got to get Russia to the table to find out if you can even end the war. And the only way that's going to happen is if you give Russia an out. And you can't be attacking him, calling him. Trump cannot attack Putin and get him to the table. And I don't understand why this isn't very simple for everybody to understand. So what do you think?
Well, I think that this was already explained 150 years ago. You cannot back your enemy into a corner. You have to give them a reasonable retreat, or they're going to fight until it's World War III. That's what's going to happen. And Putin specifically is one of those dudes that will do that.
Sun Tzu, Art of War. That's right.
You have to give them an out. So there has to be a deal. Like what Trump said multiple times in this meeting, there has to be a deal to be made. Peace is the goal. Not Ukraine winning or Russia winning. peace. And so, yeah, you might have to give up some of your land, bro. Sorry, you have two options: stay a nation and give up some land, or stop being a nation. Those are the options. It's a binary choice. There is no Ukraine winning. There is no Ukraine winning this war unless for some reason we decide to start World War III.
So I have a really great analogy over this whole thing that you guys might appreciate that help you understand a little better. Okay. Imagine the United States. Okay. And in 5 years from now, because we're giving all this money to Ukraine, right? We go poor, we go broke. The country basically ends, kind of like the USSR did. Our philosophy, capitalism, the whole thing just collapses.
Life,
right. So when that happens, let's say California, Washington, and Oregon, they all decide they're going to become their own country. They're going to band together. They have different ideology. They kind of line up more with, let's say, China, right? And kind of that whole idea. So they align more with that ideology. We lose Hawaii, we lose Alaska. All of a sudden, what's left of America has no access to the Pacific Ocean. Time goes on. America's weak. The country of California, Washington, and Oregon becomes more powerful and tends to be siding with things going on with, say, China, right? And now, after 10 or 15 years, secretly, the United States or America, whatever you want to call us at that time, we've the whole time said, oh, we need to get our land back. Like, we need to be a whole country again. We need access to the Pacific Ocean. So we've been kind of plotting, but we weren't powerful enough to do anything about it. But every time China kind of lost a little bit of power, some authority, some things happened, we took, let's say we took Washington. And then 4 or 5 years later, we took Oregon. And then all of a sudden, we wanted to take California. But China said, no, we're going to start sending California all kinds of weapons and money so they can fight the United States and stay, we can protect them, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what's happening here, in a way. And this is not to say that Putin's right for wanting his land back. The problem is that that's the ideology, that the way, if you want to think about what's happening on that side and try to understand why this is occurring, this is why it's occurring. Okay. I actually support Ukraine's independence and freedom. I believe in independence and freedom. I don't think Russia does. So I actually support
100%.
Ukraine's desire to be its own nation. The problem is that everybody has different ideologies. And when you think of it along those lines, that's kind of what's occurring here, in my opinion.
No, I agree. But I also don't think, while I agree with their independence, and I hope that they can stay a free country and all that stuff, great. I think Russia is aggressive. I think Putin is a war criminal. 100%. He's a dictator.
Should we go poor to save Ukraine?
Even better. Should we wage this proxy war, right, to save Ukraine at our expense? Should we fuel that war machine while millions of young people are dying? Yeah, the answer is no.
Well, see, isn't that the big question, though, Brian? Isn't the big question?
I don't think it's that hard of a question to answer. The answer is no. Right. It's an unwinnable war. It's an unwinnable war for Ukraine. So if Trump can make a deal where Ukraine can still stay a sovereign nation, but they got to give up a little bit of land or whatever, then that is a deal to be made. And I got to say,
for us, if I was Ukraine, I'd be like,
I'll be frank, all I care about is us. Well, I
understand,
hope those things are happening, and I do think Russia's a bunch of douchebags, or Putin is specifically. I really only care about us.
Right. But you can understand.
But I also don't want people to die in a war that's unwinnable.
You don't. But who gives a shit about what you and America thinks? Honestly, who gives a shit? If somebody's attacking my country, I'm going to fight to the death. Okay, I'm going to fight to the death for my country.
Yeah, but do the rest of Ukrainians feel that way?
That's what I'm saying. If they do, then that's what we're talking about. What I'm saying is we don't have the same skin in the game. We don't feel the same way that they feel.
Right.
And there's a limit. There's a limit to how much any person is willing to sacrifice of themselves to save another person. If it's your family member, yes. Okay, I'm in Europe, right? I'm close to Ukraine. Maybe I'm next. Maybe I am willing to almost die to save Ukraine. Right. So that's what I mean. If people don't understand what we're dealing with, this is the larger parameter. If you think that Biden was in this war to help to support Ukraine because he really wanted to help save democracy, it had nothing to do with it.
No.
It was all about making money. It was all about about increasing the war machine. It was all about continuing that. That's why they didn't want the war to end.
Right.
If it goes on forever, we continue funneling money forever.
Some leftist posted a picture of George W. and a bunch of his cabinet members, and they're like, these guys would have supported Ukraine. And I'm like, it's crazy how all of a sudden you guys are supporting George W. Bush. Yes, you're right. They would have also have sacrificed the youth to Moloch to make 30 pieces of silver, guys. Like, I'm sorry, George W. Bush is the definition. He was the definition of a war machine president. Of course they would have. It's not about, they don't care about Ukraine. They care about becoming more and more wealthy. They care about more and more power. That's what they care about. When Trump tells Zelenskyy, you don't have your cards, you don't have the cards for this. Yeah, you're at a disadvantage. You need to let me work. He's not trying to increase his personal wealth when he says that. That's a legitimate statement. And it's absurd that the president of Ukraine thinks that we're automatically going to support him, automatically going to give him more money, and automatically going to fuel this proxy war because he says so. That's another thing too, is if you actually look up some of these stats, I'm not sure what the exact number is, but I read somewhere that there's a healthy portion of the Ukraine that wants the war to end, and has no interest in defending their territory.
Right.
There's a lot of people that were part of Russia before that are still living.
No, it's true. It's true. But this whole thing with Zelenskyy yesterday, and to try to bring it back to this point, the whole thing with Zelenskyy is that this mineral deal that they were the whole point of him coming here to do this, they could have had this mineral deal signed 10 days ago. But Zelenskyy wanted to come to Washington. So the reason this whole thing happened is he wanted to come to Washington because he knew the cameras would be here and he'd be able to pitch his case. Did you see how he brought pictures to the press conference? Did you see how I brought images of people in captivity?
Look
he
at
wants
all
to
these
continue.
problems, right?
He's trying to get America to continue to want us. Now, listen, I get it. That's what I would do too.
Yeah, I understand.
But the problem is he's not reading the room. Like Trump is all over. He's over with this.
Right.
And if Trump decides he doesn't want to, hey, I'm done supporting Ukraine. No, let Russia have him. Right. If he makes that decision, then he's completely done. So what he's not doing is he's not bending the knee to Trump. He actually supported in Pennsylvania before the election. He supported the Democratic governor of the state, and he actually went and basically was going against Trump in the election. Zelenskyy was.
That's true. Yeah.
So because Zelensky's getting rich off of this too. He's got like 30 homes. He's getting $22 million a year. He's got a $30 million home in Florida.
Yeah, he's got a place in Florida.
So listen, Zelensky's doing okay. Now, I'm not saying that means that he doesn't want his country to win or whatever, but I'm just saying it's in his best interest if this war doesn't stop, because there's nothing good that can come from this war stopping for Zelenskyy. They lose land, right?
Right.
And maybe he loses power because then they have elections.
Right.
So it's lose-lose for this guy. So when you put all this into perspective and you actually listen to both sides of it, you come to the understanding of why he did what he did and why Trump kicked him out of the White House yesterday. He's like, listen, come back when you want peace.
And we're going to play some of it too.
All right, let's hear it.
And we're not going to play the entire thing, obviously. But, I'll tell you, my buddy Sosa, who just sent us a super chat. Thank you, Sosa. He said, firm handshakes, firm handshakes, firm handshakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Sosa. Thank you. Appreciate it, brother.
He actually sent me time codes. And the time codes are, it starts off pretty relatively, what's the word? It started off very cordial. Trump compliments Zelenskyy. He tells him how great, how brave their country is and how great their soldiers are doing, blah, blah, right? Right away, Zelenskyy starts calling Putin a terrorist, like right away. It seems like if he's there to further peace talks,
which I agree, I think Putin is a terrorist.
Sure.
I think he's evil.
Sure, but when you're trying to make a deal,
now's not the moment.
Yeah, this is not the moment. This is not the time to do that.
Now's not the time.
Yeah, you don't rush into screaming about the opposition. At one point, a reporter asked Zelenskyy why he's not wearing a suit, which I thought was stupid. Who cares?
Yeah, that reporter's, he's married to that idiot Margaret Taylor Greene, which I don't like her.
She's horrible.
She's terrible. That's her husband. So
right. Trump does commit to sending arms to Ukraine. Zelenskyy then literally raises his eyebrows and rolls his eyes at Trump's statement. So it starts to get a little bit weird. Trump tries to take the edge off the suit question by joking with Zelenskyy that he likes his outfit. So Trump.
Do you have timestamps for any of this? Can we show any of this, or do you have, or is it?
I don't want to get copyright claimed. I want to save the good stuff for the actual part where they get crazy.
Okay.
I'm just trying to give a quick rundown.
Got it.
So Trump is trying to calm everything down, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to keep it. He's trying to make a deal. So this is when, and this is where I'm going to get a little more. I'm going to explain why this is so important. When he starts talking about a peace deal, that's when Zelenskyy starts talking about how there won't be a peace deal, or there won't be a what's it called? When
you can't trust
Putin because he can't trust Putin.
You can't trust him because Putin has not gone through with his previous agreements.
100%. But that wasn't, and Trump wasn't involved with that. So
that's what Trump's argument is. Okay, you're right, but I haven't made a deal, and he's not going to break my deal. Is what he's saying. Right.
And if we made a deal with him for the mineral rights, then we actually have skin in the game.
Yes.
So Trump is trying to show him, like, hey, give us some skin in the game, so it makes sense to continue supporting this. All right. So this is when it gets a little interesting. Let me go to that clip.
And while you're looking for that, I do believe that what happened yesterday in the White House was a little bit overblown. It didn't need to go down the way it did. And I do believe it's going to help with negotiations with Putin. Putin is going to want to get to the table a lot faster when he sees that Trump is keeping Zelenskyy down. And I do believe that they think this and they know this in the back of their heads. And that's why they're allowing it to happen.
Yeah, listen, Trump is a deal maker. And look, if you're watching this and you're like, and you don't like Trump, that's fine. You don't gotta like him. But
100%.
Proof is in the pudding, dude. He makes deals. That's what he does. He makes deals with his opposition. He makes deals with people that he had previously been up against for election. He makes deals. He's a deal maker. He's trying to make a deal here. It's better for everyone. And again, Ukraine cannot win this war. Period. The end. If you're mad that we're saying that, that's facts.
No, it's true.
Ukraine cannot win this war, even if
without outside support.
Without outside support, they cannot win this war. That's it. So if you understand that as a fact, then you have to know that there has to be a deal to be made because Ukraine cannot win without outside support, and outside support can cause World War III. So what do we got? We got.
Well, I'm not worried. We're not worried about World War III. We're worried about right now. If Putin isn't going to do shit, if the war continues like it is right now, he will eventually wear it down. He's not going to shoot nukes because we're still supporting the war. We've already passed that timeline. What will happen is if suddenly Ukraine starts winning the war and then starts going into Russia, that's when we have the danger of World War III. That's our danger.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, but what I'm saying
is still correct.
Status quo is
Ukraine can't win without outside support, aka us.
Right.
So if they can't win, if you accept that fact that they can't win without our support, right?
Yes.
Then you have to accept the fact that there has to be a deal to be made because we're not going to continue to support you.
Only if we will not continue to support them.
And we're not going to continue to support them. So with those facts laid down, you can't win.
Well, we don't know that.
And we're not going to support. Well, I mean, we're not going to.
Trump has already said.
Unless there's a deal, you have to. He's going to make a deal. He's not going to just willy-nilly keep sending billions of dollars to them.
He will continue to willy-nilly keep sending billions of dollars to them if Russia doesn't come to the table properly. He absolutely will. If Russia comes to the table and says, "Well, the only way is if you give us half of Ukraine. We'll take another half of it. They get out, and that's the way we'll stop the war." That's not going to happen. So the only way that we will continue supporting this war.
Why would we continue to give them money? without a deal. I'm not saying a deal between Russia and Ukraine without a deal between us and Ukraine.
Oh, there'll become a deal. No, the deal between us and Ukraine is going to happen. And that's not even a question.
There
There
are
are already people back in Ukraine going, what are you doing?
A deal between us and Ukraine has to be made. A deal between Russia and Ukraine has to be made.
What I'm saying is if Putin believes, Brian, this is really critical. If Putin believes we will not continue to support this war, he will not come to the table, honestly. Trump has to make sure Putin knows we will continue to support this war.
Yeah, that's true.
It's critical.
Right.
So, so he can't show his hands. The media is trying to
you
get
said
Trump
we're
to
going
show
to
his
keep
hands.
supporting it willy-nilly. We won't. Not without a deal with Ukraine.
If
not
Russia
without those mineral rights or whatever they're looking for.
Well, they'll give us that because if they have no country, it doesn't matter.
Right.
They know that. Ultimately, they know that. Zelensky's
attitude does not spell that, though.
Right. Well, of course, Zelenskyy hates Putin for a really good reason, and he doesn't want to look like he's kowtowing to Putin at all. He just hasn't figured out that he's dealing with the wrong guy. He doesn't understand how Trump works.
No.
And Trump showed him yesterday. Zelenskyy ended up going on to the BRANE Show on Fox later, and he ended up ultimately thanking America for the support.
Yeah,
but
he tweeted that too. We have that tweet.
He does not want to look. He thinks that if he looks weak, Putin's going to just ramp stuff up. I understand that's what he's doing. The problem is he doesn't know how to read the room. He doesn't know how to interact with Trump, and he doesn't have good political savvy. I wouldn't say Trump has incredible political savvy either, but he has a lot of power, and that's even more important.
Right, that's more important. All right, so let's watch this.
Have real life, and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also, it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president said, between us, but we will go there. If we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers, it doesn't matter, do you have ocean or not, your soldiers will fight.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kyiv or Odessa, which is going to be a 30-year-old Black Sea?
It was my question.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa, but a lot of cities have been destroyed. A lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No.
And a lot of things
Mr. President, you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive, and people work, and children go to school.
Okay, so if you see what's happening here, and this is one of the things that people are getting mad at Trump about the way he reacted, but this is what Zelenskyy did throughout the entire thing. Is he kept disagreeing with Trump on everything Trump said.
Yeah, literally. Sometimes
Trump's not going to he exaggerates. So when he says all the cities are knocked down, all the cities are crumbled, blah blah blah, and every time Trump says something, Zelenskyy keeps saying, "Oh well, no, we still have great cities. We have, So instead of just letting Trump ramble on like everybody else does, and kind of knowing, well, he's probably half right, or he's exaggerating it. We all know this. Right. He keeps thwarting him. So this continues to happen in almost every conversation that occurs. And while Trump the whole time is being very nice, being very conciliatory, biting his tongue. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
He's being very calm. He's trying to be respectful. No, it's in fact, he doesn't actually get involved until, he doesn't get really upset or whatever, or he doesn't snap at him until after JD Vance finally can take no more of it.
And that is very interesting too. So go ahead.
All right.
School sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online. But we live. Ukraine is fighting, and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. He lost 700,000 people, 700,000 soldiers. He lost everything.
Yeah.
He's obsessed. All he cares about is the perception of what's happening.
Right.
Maybe Putin passed this information. I'm sure Putin is talking about how much he's destroyed his country.
Oh, I'm sure.
So just saying, continue. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Sure.
Mr. President, one more. I mentioned Poland.
Please, go ahead.
When did you last speak with President Putin, and what did he say that
A couple of days ago.
And what did he tell you that gave you the assurance that he wanted peace?
Well, that's what I do. My whole life is deals. I know pretty good. And I've known him for a long time. I've dealt with him for a long time. He had to suffer through the Russia hoax. You know, Russia was a hoax. It was all Biden. It was nothing to do with him. So he had to suffer through that, and he was able to do that. I think that he wants to make a deal, and he'd like to see it end. That's all I do.
Pause it.
That's what I do my whole life.
So listen, all posturing for Putin to get him to the table. That's all this stuff is. Oh, the Russia hoax. He had to suffer through that too. Empathizing with the person that you're going to deal with so that you can get a good deal. That's what's happening. Does Trump really think that Putin is a great guy? No, he doesn't really think he's a great guy, but he can't say that. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't understand what people don't understand about this. Okay.
Well, they don't trust Trump.
No.
They don't trust
what do you not understand? When you're trying to make a deal with someone, you don't insult them. This is not rocket science.
Yeah.
Hold up. Let's say you're going to go to make a deal with someone. Let's say maybe you're going to college and you want to make a deal with someone to get their parking space. Do you walk up there and act like an asshole, or do you be complimentary? Do you try to make something work? You try to have this this offhand friendship to try to make a deal to get their parking space. It's not rocket science that you're not going to go aggressively after the person you're trying to make a deal with.
Well, you're applying 40-year-old values to current world values, where it is that you say whatever you want and insult people as often as you want, and then still expect to get what you want.
Yeah,
that's
so
what's happening
all you
today.
collegians out there that think that you're going to get anywhere with that kind of mentality, good luck.
Yeah,
good luck, dude.
Ultimately, no, you're not going to. Yeah, you're making enemies. So, I mean, ultimately, yeah, that's what's happening.
I'm just so tired of this nonsense. Trump's a shitty deal maker. Give me some evidence of that.
Well, no, yeah, people just don't trust him because of the way he talks. But the way he talks is kind of how things get done.
Also, the way it's reported. Come on.
And I'll get it. And listen, if this doesn't work out, he's 100% accountable. Okay, Trump is going to be accountable if this doesn't work. If the way he's making his deals, if the way he's speaking, if it doesn't work, he's got to be held accountable as well. So, but let the guy do his job.
I mean, but do people expect Trump to start losing his shit on Putin when they're trying to make a deal?
Yes, they do.
That's so stupid and immature.
But that's the way America has been doing it. 4 years of Biden, not Blinken, whoever was running the country at the time. Right. 4 years of vilifying Putin, which was fine, but they weren't trying to get to the table. So that was keep the war going. How do we keep the war going? Insult Putin. How do we keep the war going? Love Ukraine. Insult. That's how you keep it going. There's not going to be a deal as long as that's happening.
Yeah,
so if you have common sense, then you understand that this is what has to occur. Now, it might not be tasteful. Maybe you don't want to tell the school bully, hey, you might be an okay guy, right? But I really want you to stop punching me in the face.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, perhaps it's distasteful. You don't like the way it tastes. You want to keep fighting. You want to call them names. Yes, we all want to do that. Okay. That dude deserves to have his ass kicked. But I also want him to stop punching me in the face. So we got to figure out a way through.
That's the thing too. It's like people don't fully grasp that the idea of Ukraine fighting the big bad Russia. Zelensky's not fighting big bad Russia. It's the youth of the Ukraine who are fighting and dying. People that don't want to fight. People that don't want to go to the front line. So, it's real.
But do they want to give up their land? I honestly can't answer this question. And I know you're trying to rationalize it, but the reality is
I'm trying to rationalize the fact that war is bad for average American, for average people, average people. War is bad. It's only good for the higher ups.
But if you bring war to my doorstep, to my house, I am going to fuck you up. Okay. Sure, and I don't care if I die doing it. And so what I'm just saying is, we don't know if the people of Ukraine, how they truly feel. And you want to know why?
Well, we do know a little bit because there is multiple reports of people being added to the front lines that have no interest in this war whatsoever.
Right. But we don't really know because the word is not being allowed out either.
Well, but some of it's getting out. I have some video of that too. We can play afterwards.
I respect people who want to fight for what's being taken.
100%, sure.
And I 100% support that. But what I'm saying is we don't have to, if we were your neighbor, we got vested in, but we're not. We're from across town, and we don't want bad things to happen to you across town, but there's a limit. Are we willing to lose our house so that you win yours? And I think that's where we're sitting. And that's why this is such a difficult question for everybody. There's a lot of people in our country who want us to fight for Ukraine no matter what, who want us to, spit in Putin's eye no matter what. But here's the reality. You got no skin in the game either, right? You don't think our country is in trouble. So you don't see it. All this is to you is, well, that's what they keep telling me needs to happen. So that's what needs to keep happening.
It's just drama. Where was your bleeding heart 6 years ago? Where's your bleeding heart for the Uyghur population? Where's your bleeding heart for Taiwan?
We don't talk about that, Brian. We don't talk about that.
Where's your bleeding heart for all the stuff that's not being covered by the media? Because this is being covered for a reason, because the war machine's getting filthy rich off of it. This is why it's being covered, and it's being covered in a way that gets you to support it. Where's your bleeding heart for the stuff that's not being covered? That's happening worldwide every year.
Well, and you also have to understand that this is like the first time since nuclear arms really became a thing that a world nation took somebody else's land intentionally that has nuclear weapons. We've never dealt with this before. This is a totally new concept that Russia has the ability to end the planet, and they're taking somebody else's land. This has never happened. So nobody really understands how to go forward. How much do you push Russia before they just say, screw it, I don't care, and we're going to destroy the whole planet now. Screw you guys.
Right.
How far do you push it? We don't know. We've never been in this place. It's very complicated. So you got and the reason why I'm explaining it to you guys like this is I want you to understand everybody's point of view. Zelenskyy and Ukraine, they don't want to lose their land. Putin and Russia, I want more land. United States, is this going to be the end of our existence? Is this going to be the end of our country? Do we have enough money to do this? Europe, if we don't help Ukraine, does that mean Russia's coming for us next? There's so many questions here that affect all of us. It's such a very complicated thing. Let's just hope that a deal gets done.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
That's what I do, is make deals. And I'm in the middle of a mess, because this is a real mess. It's a very dangerous one.
Yeah, it is a mess.
This doesn't get solved now.
It is a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's like I
mess.
talked about. It's a huge mess.
It's a huge mess that the previous administration made worse. It's a huge mess.
It's not going to get solved for a long time. So I hope we're going to get it solved. In the back, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Starmer claimed repeatedly that his government believes in free speech and was not engaged in censorship. But his country's government arrests people for memes and thought crimes, and even more worrisome is pressuring.
This is where it comes. This is the important
companies to censor Americans on its behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such an important topic?
Well, we actually spoke to him about that yesterday, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was very strong on it. So was I. So was Marco. And we've been speaking to him about it. Marco, would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, we have concerns, obviously, with the conduct of those, particularly as it impacts America.
By the way, this is a side note, but Marco Rubio is looking older and older.
Well, it's going to be a tough job for him.
It's a tough gig. I remember when he ran in 2016 against Trump, he looked like a young, fresh face. Man, this poor guy has aged like 20 years in 8 years. It's crazy.
I got to tell you, though, I've never been more impressed with him.
I'm impressed with the guy for sure.
I listen to every one of his news conferences, and I'm really paying attention to what he's talking about. He's really balancing that line with Trump and trying to be, diplomatic.
No,
I really like what he's saying.
I'm very impressed with Marco Rubio. I'm just saying that the poor guy has aged considerably.
Well, he's still got his dark hair, and I can't say the same about myself.
That's true.
Americans. And there's real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a point the Vice President made at Munich, and I think it's a very compelling one, that what unites us with Europe, as much as anything else, is these shared values, and one of them being free speech. And so if Americans are threatened
Pause
by
that. So this is a very thin line here. So if you guys don't know, and we won't go too far away, J.D. Vance went to Germany. He basically spoke to, on the topic of free speech, and basically said, listen, you guys aren't supporting free speech properly, or the way free speech is intended to be done. And we don't want it to impact, Americans, basically. America, we believe in free speech. Over there, it's kind of free speech unless you say bad things against the government. They have different rules.
It's free speech light.
Free speech light. That's a good way of putting it. So that the reason why this is even coming up is because, basically we're saying that we don't want our companies to be sued because we're allowing free speech. It's very complicated, but I think it's like a thin veil. But this is what ends up lighting off JD Vance.
Right.
We're going to need to take action in that regard.
Mr. President.
It's actually a very important question.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday, and I know that
I've never seen in all my years of following politics, I've never seen a vice president be anything more than a wallflower.
Right.
This is I'm like, he is actively, in fact, he just interrupted Trump when Trump was speaking, and he put his hand up and said, and he had a point to make. If you don't think JD Vance is heavily involved in what's happening in this, and it's very rare that a president or that a vice president is this involved, just heads up.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because you're completely right. Most vice presidents after the election just sort of fade off into the tree line.
Yep.
You don't really hear about them. You don't really hear about them until the end of that person's double term and they want to run. There's not much to say. But he's been a big part of this administration since the day they came into power on the 20th.
100%.
Secretary of Commerce Lutnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans have the right to speak their mind, even if we in this room disagree with them. They have the right to speak their mind.
Yeah, speak, bro. That's facts. That does. It gives me a little bit of a patriot boner. I love that.
I'll tell you, anybody who went through the bullshit with Twitter from 2020 to 2022, and it felt like our speech was being taken away, our free speech was being taken away.
Because it was.
Even people who were speaking reasonably,
right?
Just not against what you got to understand. It's not about just saying hateful things. I mean, there are certain hateful things that you should have enough character to know not to say. You shouldn't disparage ethnic groups. You shouldn't disparage genders. You shouldn't do all those things. But if you want to say, I don't believe that my country is doing the right thing, and I don't believe we should be able to do this, that is free speech. Okay. And I love the fact that no matter what you think about, Vance, Trump, or anybody else, this is important to being American.
Right.
In the public square, which is often online these days. And we're going to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the president's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is we believe in free speech in this country and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother.
Other oil and gas component to the deal? Is it all critical?
A little bit. We'll see.
On LNG?
But we're not really looking for that so much. We got a lot. We have more than anybody in the world.
It's true. Alaska is ripe with oil. I mean, I know we'd have to tear up we have to do some environmental damage, but
I'm just tired of hearing it, I guess. The one thing about Trump that I wish he wasn't so repetitive. Honestly, and maybe it's because I watch everything.
Well, they
but
asked
I feel like
if we're interested in the oil over there.
He does, but I understand that. But every time he's asked this question, he says the same thing: "We've got more than anybody else in the world."
He's got to keep making that point because for some effing reason, we keep buying it from other places.
Well, yeah. Well, there's the reasoning behind that was we were going to save the whole reasoning initially was we're going to save our supply, and then when everybody else runs out, we'll have all the oil. That was the idea, the reason why we were buying from other countries.
So much more than people realize, though. This is buying oil from other countries while we have as much oil as we have is like having a grove of lemon trees in your backyard and going to the store to buy lemons. It makes no sense.
Right. Well, it does make sense if you have so much money that you can afford to buy other people's oil and save your own. But we're just not there anymore. We're to the point now where we don't have enough money to buy everybody else's oil.
Right.
That's why we need to start using our own. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. All right.
By far. So no, we're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also, but for the most part, no.
And sir, is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase?
I gotta say one more thing. I feel like Zelenskyy is a little bit of he's at a tad of a disadvantage considering that English is not his first language, obviously.
Absolutely.
And he's having a hard time understanding everything. And he has a translator there that's giving him information that might be coming a little later than then they're giving it to him in real time. So I get that point too, and that could be frustrating.
Absolutely.
U.S. LNG as part of the deal, or is that on the table at all?
No, we don't need that.
Some of those
Mr. President, I
minerals
just
are in
wanted
the
to ask
East,
you
Mr.
about,
President.
you just mentioned that you'd spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just to be clear, that's a new call, not the one that you...
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay. And how was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did it go?
He didn't commit to talking to him 2 days ago.
Are you serious with that question?
He didn't commit to, I know. Yeah. They're going to ask. They're going to, Mr. President.
By the way, these obnoxious reporters go real silent pretty soon. So it's happening. Stick with us.
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about. So
this is when Zelensky's starting to get annoyed. Because are you going to instruct Putin to withdraw from those areas? And it's like, and Zelensky's like, he wants Trump to say, absolutely, they're going to withdraw and give everything back, right?
Right. Well, and I know that's what he wants, but you don't say that before you get to the table.
Right. I don't understand why why people can't understand that.
Some people are very basic. Some people are just basic bitches, bro.
I've never heard you
I've never used that word before. I've never even used that phrase. But you know what? This is the appropriate place for that phrase.
I guess you're right, man.
We'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interests? Would that be Ukrainian
They'll be
forces?
protected. The agreement will protect them.
Yeah. If they're U.S. interest, we will protect them.
Who's gonna?
This is why you make a deal with us. Let us actually have skin in the game.
Yes.
I don't think that. I mean, he can't say all this when they're still trying to make a deal, though.
It's just obvious. Well, the reporter question, all the questions are setups. Well, who's going to protect? They're trying to get President Trump to say America is going to protect Ukraine. That's the whole goal in all of these questions. America will protect Ukraine. America will stop. This is what they're trying to get him to say. And, Trump's evading it pretty well.
He is.
The agreement, we're signing an agreement.
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in those spots?
I just told you I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder why.
They ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions. Focus on surviving, because CNN's got such low ratings. I don't think they're going to survive. Let's go.
That's what people hate. I understand you love it, but that's what makes people hate it.
Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force for good. And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say...
How do people not understand that?
There it is.
How can you make a deal if you're... This is not hard to understand. If you're trying to make a deal, you have to align yourself with all the parties you're trying to make a deal with.
You have to be neutral. You have to be a neutral player. And we're already, and what people understand is we're already not neutral. We've already been supporting Ukraine against Russia. So in order to become a neutral party, you have to become neutral, at least verbally.
Right.
Really terrible things about Putin and then say, hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal? It doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the
good of the world.
I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world.
It's not hard.
I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe.
This is not hard.
Look at Zelensky's frustrated.
See if we can get this.
Yeah, he's getting mad.
Well, I mean, think about it. Trump just said, you know, hey, this guy hates Putin. And all Zelensky's thinking right now is, yeah, I do hate him. Yeah, I do. Look at what he's done to my people. He's frustrated, right? So that's staying with him during this. Go ahead.
You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Okay, here it comes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama.
Trump misunderstood what he said here.
Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
So 2014
He thought he was talking about during his term.
So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes.
Yeah, Drew D.
Trump misunderstood.
Drew D makes a good point. It's a huge mistake by Zelensky because Vance didn't say anything controversial. He just, this is Zelensky not liking what Vance said about actions and going after him.
Well, I think it's an opportunity for Zelensky to once again try to get the appeal of the American people, despite what Trump is trying to do. It's he's pitching to the American people as opposed to, you know, seeing what Trump does.
Right.
But during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him. A lot of.
So what he said there, really important, from 2014 through 2022, which includes 2016 to 2020 when Trump was in office, Zelensky just said nobody stopped him. Putin was killing people on the contact line. The territory that he took in 2014, there was fighting happening. It wasn't really a war, but he was killing Ukrainians is what he's saying. And nobody stopped them. That's what he just said right there, including Trump, right?
Right.
Go ahead.
Conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire.
Macron, which is
that's French, the French president.
Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people.
You want to know why? Because Trump lost the election in 2020.
Yep.
That's why Putin kept going. So you're right. You can't trust Putin unless maybe Trump's president, because so far under everybody else, under George W. Bush, under Obama, under Biden, he took land. He didn't take land from 2016 to 2020. So maybe trust this guy and let's see what he's going to do to keep Putin in his place.
Yeah, let him cook.
And he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy.
So there you go. So what Zelensky's saying here is that you say, he's telling Vance, you talk about we need more diplomacy, but diplomacy has failed up to this point. To which Zelensky is basically saying that Trump, you and your administration can't get it done. That's what he's saying. He has no faith that Trump can get it done. Otherwise, he wouldn't be asking the question. That's why people are getting so frustrated in the room. They're questioning their ability to do it diplomatically. He still wants to keep fighting the war.
What's the alternative?
keep fighting the war, keep giving him money, and hopefully that maybe they'll win.
Yeah.
And he'll continue to benefit from
But
it.
we've already established the first rule. You can't win. So now
Not
what's the
without us.
alternative?
Convince us to keep letting him fight.
Right. That's just the definition of insanity.
That's what he's trying to do here. That's what's happening. Or let's stop the war, but we get security guarantees and that this is never going to happen again. That the U.S. will commit to attacking Russia if Russia attacks Ukraine. That's what ultimately he'd like. The problem is you can't say that here. You can't say this now. If you say that right now, what's going to happen? World War III potential. Boom, boom, boom. If Trump says, yes, we will guarantee that if Russia attacks you, we will attack Russia. It's the lack of common sense in this whole situation. And I understand why Zelenskyy wants that to happen. I mean, shit, he's almost obliterated anyways. What the fuck does he care if the rest of us die too? His country's already dying. Yeah. I understand why he's doing that. What I don't understand is all of the people who say, oh, boom, why aren't we saying these things? Why aren't we backing up Zelenskyy? Why aren't we doing these things? This is why I call everybody basic bitches. Yeah. Because you don't understand what you're asking us to support.
Yeah, yeah.
You were asking us to support the growth, the roll up to World War III.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just the common sense.
Yeah, there's no common sense.
So, anyways, this is why everybody's getting riled up, and Zelensky's been acting this way.
You guys just love Putin and Russia. Keep spitting out Russian. Are you not understanding the concept here? It's a binary choice. They can't win the war. So it's either we go to war with Russia. This is not a hard concept. I feel like we're like
ramping up to idiocracy, bro. I feel like it's the ramp up to idiocracy that this very basic concept of diplomacy. Yes, we can have diplomacy as long as you call that guy a motherfucker. Okay. As long as you punch that guy in the face before we meet him, then we can have some diplomacy. I mean, this is what we're dealing with here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. Now it gets fun.
Oh yeah, it's about to get fun. Get ready.
Destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
He's
right now, you guys are going around.
He's calling it like it is. Yeah, he's litigating.
He's calling it like he sees it.
Right.
He's calling it like it is. Yep. This is exactly what's happening.
Yep.
With all due respect, it's disrespectful for you to do this. Okay, go ahead.
Right. In the Oval Office. Right.
Conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems.
Back up a little bit.
Come into the Oval Office.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President.
So he makes a really good point here. The reality is that these guys haven't had a chance to go to Ukraine yet. I'm not sure it's going to be safe enough for them to go, but they have not been there to see it for themselves. So he does. Zelenskyy makes a good point here. Like at some point, our leadership needs to go and see what's happening on the ground first, and not just, firsthand. And it doesn't have to be Trump or Vance.
It shouldn't be Trump or Vance, that's for sure.
Right. But it could, but somebody does need to go and get eyes on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
That's what makes Trump mad. Now, I don't think Zelenskyy realized he was going to piss Trump off with this statement. Okay, but he's basically saying, you got to keep helping us or else it's on you next. That's basically what he's saying. Yeah, you got an ocean between you now, but if you don't support us, it's on you next. And that's kind of what everybody's been saying. Now, do we really think Russia's going to come over here and do something to us? No, they couldn't. It's not possible. Okay, but they couldn't. It's not even remotely reasonably possible. I'd be more worried about China coming here. Russia don't have enough people. Right. Now, could Russia launch nuclear missiles? Yeah, blah, 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 blah. But that's not That's not the goal of Russia ultimately.
Except for you ever hear what's the breadbasket of the world, Shane?
Ukraine.
Okay. The breadbasket of the world. Yeah. Okay.
Partially.
Yeah,
I mean, are we talking about the United States?
Yeah,
the Midwest.
Yeah, the Midwest, the wheat. You guys, people need to understand that the United States plays a huge role in feeding the planet.
True.
The same way that the fisheries in Japan and China also play a huge role in feeding the planet. These are, like, there's a global economy at play here. Nuking your food source is a bad idea.
Well, and ultimately, Russia doesn't want to nuke anything.
No, of course not.
They don't want to nuke anything, and it's only going to happen if people get. But what I'm trying to say is, what he's saying here is not true. Okay, Russia isn't trying to dominate the entire globe. They want their old land back. They want California, Oregon, and Washington back.
Right.
That's what and I'm not saying that's okay. We shouldn't necessarily get to have those states back if we, crumble and they start their own thing, I guess. But I'm not saying Russia should be able to do that. But that's what's occurring here. And so the fact that he says this, he is yet again continuing to litigate something that's not necessarily true. And he's trying to make people scared. And this is eventually what pisses Trump off.
Yeah, this is what happens.
God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. You're playing cards.
I wonder how much of this is also like him not understanding, like, the reference. Like, does he understand the card reference?
I mean, he may not get it at this point, but hopefully he understands. But you got to understand, Zelenskyy just met with Europe last week. He just met with the leaders of countries who gave the backing, the supporting. We are going to support you. I think he came into this thinking, I think maybe we don't need America. I think in the back of his mind, I think partially he got enough support from Europe to think I can come in here and try to keep forcing my hand.
Right.
He doesn't feel like he needs to bend a knee yet.
Right.
And he right now is where he needs to look. If this guy, for card reference, if this guy is giving you all the money to play poker, and he says, I'm not going to give you any more money to play poker, and you can't play poker anymore, that's what's happening. And Trump's like, you got no cards. You can't even be in the game without us because you don't have any money to buy in.
Yeah. You're not in the game without us. Yeah, that's a good point.
And so that's why you got to be nice to the guy giving you money.
Yeah, I don't know if he understands that reference. He's like, we're not playing cards right now.
I know. It's really, he needed to have a translator in his ear the whole time on this. That was a mistake as well.
Right.
You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is...
But in all fairness, yeah, the fuck he is.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if there's World War III because he's already in it.
Right.
He's already entered the war. He doesn't care if everybody else ends up destroyed because he's already getting destroyed. You know, if the person's getting his ass kicked, you want your buddies to jump in and yeah, they might get their asses kicked, but you don't care because you're getting your ass kicked. I mean, that's right.
Yeah. This is not the right way to get us to jump in though. I feel like it's obvious. I feel like the president of a country at that age should understand, but I don't think he does. I think he's a little bit arrogant. I think he came to the White House arrogant because he got the backing of the EU, because he had the backing of Biden, because he had the backing of the American legacy media,
American people,
right? Yeah. So he thinks he's arrogant. He thinks this is here. Give me money, give me support. You're going to give it anyways, and he doesn't understand that he's not dealing with the previous administration, who was more interested in virtue signaling to feed the war machine than actually helping the planet or helping Ukraine.
Well, he knows now. He knows now.
Oh, he definitely knows now.
Yeah.
It's very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once?
This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October.
J.D. Vance
Offer
is
some words of
definitely
appreciation
upset.
for the United States
what
of
are you speaking
America
about?
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country's
Can I-
in big
can-
trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No, no.
Can-
I like
Trump's going to back up his people.
Yeah, Trump. I love how loyal he is. This moment for me reminded me why I voted for him.
Well, and I like that he's just so transparent here. Right. He's just, it doesn't always look good, folks. It doesn't always look good, the things that Trump says and the way he says them. No. It's not always the best way to handle things. And I don't agree with it. And there was things way I wouldn't do it for sure. But the one thing you can always count on is whatever comes out of his mouth is exactly what he thinks.
Right. That's
and
true.
with most politicians we've ever had, I'm not going to say most, with all politicians we've ever had, we've never been able to watch someone talk, okay, and think that's exactly what they're thinking right now. We've never had that.
Right.
Okay. And it takes a very, I don't know, maybe naive person or a person who doesn't care what people think, perhaps, or whatever, or a fucking genius. I don't know. But for him, for me to be able to go, I know what that guy's thinking every time he speaks. That's the truth. That's the truth. Right. The problem with that is we never know. We never knew before. This is what's drawn people to Trump.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever seen a meeting like this either. Like this is
well, not with this honesty.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And Drudy has a good point. When he said, "Have you ever said thank you?" I did feel like that wasn't necessary to say whatsoever. But I quickly forgot about it when he goes, "You think you speak loudly?" And I was like, "Hey, listen, shut up." I quickly forgot the whole, have you said thank you? I wouldn't have asked the guy if you said thank you either.
Well, the point is, the reason why JD said it is he doesn't seem very grateful.
No, he's not
for
grateful.
what
That's
America has done. No, that's why he said, have you said thank you?
That's the biggest problem. People don't get this. He's coming into the White House. He's coming into our house, arrogant as fuck, saying, you're going to support us regardless. That's what he's doing. There is definitely an air of arrogance about this dude. And I think everyone in that room can feel it.
It could be the fact that that's just the way he communicates. He definitely, you had the Great Britain prime minister there a couple days ago, and you could just tell he was like, I'm here to be diplomatic throughout the entire thing. Right. He had nothing but good things to say. I've watched so many of these things.
Right.
And the big difference is if you watch Zelenskyy through this thing, he's rolling in his eyes. He's sighing. It's obvious that he's struggling with this because all he wants is to hear his support. And for some reason, nobody talked to him ahead of time and said, listen, you're a henchman. You're the underling to Trump and the United States of America right now. You're the little buddy. You're the little brother. Okay. You're going to get your ass whooped. Okay, you need to get in line. And then hopefully in the end, they got your back. Okay, what do they say? If you have somebody that you care about, only I can kick your ass, nobody else can kick your ass kind of thing. So right now, Trump has the power, America has the power, and he needs to be grateful. And I think that's what J.D. Vance was saying. He needs to come out and be like, listen, America has been incredible. America has given us all this. We love America. Thank you, America. And I really hope that you're here for us the entire way. That's his job. He's the pitch man.
Yeah.
That's his job, not to question in front of cameras, dude. Come on, you got to be smarter than this. You get behind closed doors. You can say all this shit to Trump you want. Listen, I'm concerned. I'm worried that there's not going to be security guarantees, that we're just going to give up our position and Russia's just going to come in and roll over us anyways.
Yeah, you got to be smarter. That's really what it comes down to. You got to be smarter.
Yeah, and he could have easily deflected what Vance said here. He could have easily deflected and said, well, I hope this is something that we talk about at our next meeting.
Right.
That's all he needed to say.
All right, let's finish it.
You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said...
Okay, this is important. We've been alone from the beginning of our war. Now, what he means is they've been fighting alone. Very true. They've had a lot of support, with weapons and money and all the things they need to fight the war, but they have been alone. And I do think that I think Trump's thinking right now, you ain't been alone. Look at all this money we've given you. I do think there's a sense of misunderstanding that occurs in part of this conversation.
Thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about West?
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something.
See, once again, he's so this is the problem. God dang it. Okay, Mark Anthony or Anthony Mark, thank you so much. This is a great comment here. He wishes Zelenskyy had said, if Vance is not elected in 2028, then Vladimir will go back in. That is the concern. What happens if Trump isn't president? Does that mean what's going to guarantee that Russia is going to stay out of Ukraine for future generations? And that's something they should talk about in the back room there. But right now, basically saying that, oh, Trump, you're giving Putin talking points is not going to make him, the president, happy with Zelenskyy. And that's what he's doing here. And I don't know if he realizes that he's completely insulting him the more he continues to talk.
Yeah, when he said, I heard that Putin said that too. Like,
dude, it's not what you want to do.
It's not smart. He's not being smart. But more importantly, Trump is right. Without our support, this war is already over.
Right. But that was the misunderstanding. So Zelenskyy said, we've been in this alone, the fighting portion of it. And Trump's like, no, you ain't been in it alone. So, there's definitely a communication barrier occurring here. It just should not be happening in front of cameras because the world, frankly, doesn't need to see this. Nothing better happened as a result of this.
Right.
In front of all
2
of
weeks.
us.
Right.
Of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media.
Thank you.
When you're
See,
wrong.
JD's like, we shouldn't be doing
But
this
you see,
here
I
right
think
now.
it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long.
There's your transparency, folks.
Yeah.
You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you,
You're
Nicky,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't please,
you're running
Mr.
low
Brad.
on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you'd take it. So
Notice
the
how
bullets
quiet
stop
the media
flying and
is
your
now.
men stop
Of course,
getting killed.
Of course, we want to
They couldn't
stop the
ask a
war,
question
but
You
I
say
any
you
better
don't
than
want a
But I
ceasefire.
said to you,
I want a
with
ceasefire.
guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what-
That
what
wasn't
is-
with me.
It
That was
wasn't
with
you.
a guy named Biden who was not a smart person.
This
That
is
was
your,
with,
this
that was
is
with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama.
He makes
who
a good
gave you
point.
sheets, and I.
He makes a great point here. Trump is making a great point. It wasn't with me. This is what seems to be the lacking thing. Zelenskyy doesn't seem to understand that a ceasefire is the first step to peace, period. Now, I know that Putin hasn't followed the ceasefire previously, but you still have to have a ceasefire before you can have peace talks. So the fact that maybe he doesn't think that Putin will listen to Trump's ceasefire. Right. So what that's telling Trump is that maybe Zelenskyy doesn't want peace because it is the first step to peace. So why is Zelenskyy saying,
right,
we don't want a ceasefire?
Right. Yeah, you got to go.
We want peace. We don't want a ceasefire. You can't have peace without a ceasefire.
Yeah.
Stop shooting each other so we can talk about it.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, stop shooting so we can talk about peace.
Right. You can go back to shooting each other if you want if it doesn't work out. But we got to stop. We got to have a ceasefire first.
Right.
I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement
I thought he was
is
going to say Obama gave you
gave
shit.
sheets and Trump.
I was going to say Obama gave you shit.
What did he
I'm
mean
like,
when he said Obama gave you sheets?
I'm not 100% sure. Oh, maybe, I don't know, maybe blankets? I don't know what he's talking
gave
about.
javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards, but without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr.
Oh, this is good.
I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make. because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then?
Listen.
I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia.
Yeah. An absurd answer to an absurd question.
It is an absurd answer. Like, I don't know why Trump always feels like he's got to bring he had the answer correct like that. He didn't follow it under Obama. He didn't follow it under Biden, but he is damn well going to follow it under me. That's basically what he should have said and stopped right there.
Right.
The whole Russia hoax doesn't have shit to do with Putin. He don't care.
Russia. Okay. And so after that, we did have we had a statement from President Trump after Zelenskyy left the White House.
So they were supposed to have lunch and a meeting. Then the meeting was going to be to lock in the deal.
Right.
But this is what happened.
Yeah. This is from President Trump. I was going to try reading his voice, but I'm not going to do that. We had a very meaningful meeting in the White House today. Much was learned that could never be understood without conversations under such fire and pressure. It's amazing what comes out through emotion. And I have determined that President Zelenskyy is not ready for peace if America is involved.
Right.
Because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage. I want peace. He disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he's ready for peace.
I think he made a mistake in this writing here because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage. Go back to that one. Or are you showing that?
Yeah.
Because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in war, not in negotiations. The reason why Zelenskyy is not ready for peace is because as long as we're supporting him, he can keep fighting.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can't find. I thought I'd saved the Zelenskyy response to that. Do you have that, by the way?
Zelensky's response
he did
on Red Bear.
He posted.
I never saw his statement.
Basically, his statement was very apologetic.
I mean, I saw him on Brett Baer, and Brett Baer kept asking him, "Do you think you owe an apology?" And he wouldn't answer the question. But eventually, people said, "Look, you need to kiss the ring." Trump wants him to kiss the ring. That's it.
Right.
And you know what? If somebody's, if my kids want to keep eating, they're going to kiss the ring. Okay. If I'm supporting you, you're going to have to kiss the ring. Now, you may not like me. You may not like the way I do things, but you're surviving because of me.
Right.
So you're going to have to come in and bend the knee. You're going to have to speak to me properly. And Zelenskyy needs a lesson in how to be more diplomatic. He's been doing too many podcasts where he's just openly said whatever the hell he wants. When he gets behind closed doors with somebody who's got his future in their hands, he needs to be more diplomatic.
Yeah. And last thing on this topic, he did use the Russian word for BSETH.
Yeah, that was not cool.
In reference to J.D. Vance, here it is.
I have been to. I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on.
Yeah. So if you play video games, that's what Russians say when they're mad at you. Whenever you're playing in a public server, "Sikable," and it means.
Well, this tells you everything you need to know, Brian.
Right.
How does Zelenskyy feel about J.D. Vance? And probably Trump. This is it right here. He thinks you're a bitch. He didn't like, why is this guy? I'm sorry, Ukraine. I know he when the war started, he didn't leave. Great. But why is this guy representing you?
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a good idea.
He doesn't have a gun on the front line, folks. He's not out there. He's not George Washington. Okay, George Washington was out there with his troops mostly.
Yeah, he's not leading the charge across the Delaware. All right, well, that's it for this topic. We only have like 25 minutes left, and we talked about this for an hour. So
it was worth it. I think it was the biggest thing.
I think so. Let us know what you guys
What
think
do you
in
guys
the
think?
chat, in the comment section, please. Okay, let's get to let's do a quick I'm gonna say palate cleanser.
All right, I like that.
Palate cleanser.
That was heavy. That was heavy.
That was
I think
heavy.
we're due for a palate cleanser.
So, if we're gonna do a palate cleanser, we need to talk about male penis fillers.
Oh, I didn't know that was the palate cleanser, but okay. I don't want that to be my palate cleanser, by the way. Just to be clear.
Okay, so there's actually a trend going on right now with finance bros lining up to get penis filler, and this is the hilarious.
I have never heard of this, by the way, till right this moment.
Well, this is becoming an actual thing now.
I mean, doesn't the penis fill under certain moments of desire?
You see, Shane, some people are showers and some people are growers.
Okay,
You know what that means, right?
I don't. What are you talking about?
That means some people, their size come from their growth.
Okay.
And some people can be completely flaccid and still look like
got it.
Like
Yes.
they're doing good in that area.
Yes, some people look like they're in freezing water, and some people look like they're at the beach laying out. Got it.
Right. So here's the deal, though. Some people really want to be showers all the time. And
What are you showing?
That requires penis fillers.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 3 to 4 times a day, Chris Bustamante schedules time to talk to his clients about how they want their penis to look.
Okay.
His Manhattan Clinic, Lushful Aesthetics, offers plenty of what Bustamante calls bread and butter beauty services.
Okay.
Like facial fillers and chemical peels. Yet the true growth of his business lies in penis filler. In 2024, the procedure accounted for over 40% of Lushful's Aesthetics' $3 million revenue.
Wow. Okay. So approximately $1.25 million was raised in penis filling. Okay.
Well, and they're not alone. Interest in penis enlargement has been booming. Multiple cosmetic surgeons told Allure in 2023 that penis filler is now their most popular procedure. Dr. David Schaefer, a plastic surgeon in New York, told GQ in 2023 that his penis filler clients have grown from 1 or 2 a week to 4 or 5 a day.
Okay.
He now dedicates an entire floor of his clinic strictly to penis filler. When Bustamante, a doctor of nursing practice, opened his clinic in 2022, the only male enhancement service he offered was shockwave therapy, or P-shot, which uses plasma and vacuum pump therapy to increase the size of their penis.
Okay, so let me see if I get this straight. Now, the way Botox works, women or whoever get Botox for, let's say, their wrinkles in their forehead or wherever, and it temporarily fills things in for maybe 4 to 6, 8 weeks or whatever, right?
Right.
Then you have to get Botox again because the Botox has gone in through your system.
Right.
Is this what's happening to the penis?
This is more like lip fillers or BBLs. You know what a BBL is?
Nope, not a clue.
It's a non-surgical butt lift.
All right.
So they use high volumes of filler to make the butt larger or the lips larger, or in this case, the penis girthier.
I just don't understand what that does. So in order for you to show your penis, you're typically going to be naked.
Right.
So that means you've already
closed.
You've closed the deal.
You're right.
That's all I was just going to say. Like, what do you need your penis to look bigger for? It's going to do its job. And let me tell you, that filler, I don't think is going to make it bigger during the process, right?
No, yeah. So this is what's funny. It actually doesn't make your penis bigger. It makes it appear thicker when you're flaccid. But when you're ready to go, it will not appear larger or enhance your performance in any way.
So men wearing Speedos and who end up somehow in their tidy whities, is this what we're talking about, the advantage here?
Perhaps.
Okay.
I guess I can see that. I mean, I understand the BBLs, the butt fillers. Like, yeah, you got a flat butt, you're trying to attract someone, with your rear end, then
sure,
you got to fill the butt. Okay.
But dudes, it's like, no. And by the way, I don't believe that a lot of women are like crotch watching.
Right. I don't think that's a thing.
Most women find it pretty disgusting, as I recall.
All right. So this is what it says. Typically, professional men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s pick from a menu of highly specific and patented enhancement procedures. This is the funny part. They can get a thicker girth enhancement, a larger scrotum, scrot fill.
Why? Nobody wants that to be any bigger.
Or to be more of a shower than a grower, Showtox, which uses Botox to relax the muscles in the penis and retain more blood when flaccid. Scrotville and Showtox.
I don't want nobody putting nothing in my thing. I'm just saying. I know shots in my thing. I don't need nothing happening down there.
Yeah.
Well, to those of you who decide to do that, congrats.
Wait. Almost done. Bustamante said, clients ask him while he was injecting him if this is the most filler he's ever used. When Bustamante said he's gone higher, they'd ask him to match that number on the spot. Some clients have ended up with penises over 7.5 inches in circumference, greater than their length.
Are you shitting me? Okay. All right.
It's
the visual reference on that's not good.
It's like
all
a
right.
hockey puck. It's like...
Hey, listen. If you're making a ton of money from it, it might be working.
Imagine like, Doc, is this the most filter you've ever used? Oh no, I've used more. I want to be 7 inches around.
I don't know. People hanging around in the pool, dude. All I got to say is dudes are hanging around the pool. Must be getting some. That's all I can say.
Patients will often spend around $50,000 over the course of a year, adding filler every 6 months.
All right. Well, I'm done with this story. So
wow.
My palate is cleansed, bro. My palate is cleansed. More power to you if you do it. No judgment here. Do what you got to do, but keep that needle away from my Johnson.
I had to finish. I had to read that last part for you though, because that was the part that made me
the 7 inches of girth
fall out laughing.
That's crazy, bro.
All right.
Good stuff.
All right, let's go back to politics.
I mean, that was definitely a palate cleanser, bro.
Okay, let's talk about the Elon Musk and Joe Rogan interview that just happened. Not the entire thing. We're not going to go over the entire 3 hours and 11 minutes because that is insane.
What I will tell you about that though is if you guys feel like you know who Elon Musk is and like what he's all about, some of you may have been following him. This interview will tell you what you need to know about Doge, what you need to know about what his goals are. I was talking with one of my kids who was like, I don't know. Elon Musk seems okay, but I don't trust the fact that he's not like just doing all this stuff so he can get to Mars faster. Like I think he might be just trying to get some government contracts so he can go to Mars. All he cares about is going to Mars. And it's funny when I listen to my kids or other people talk about Elon Musk and I realize, wow, you guys really don't know this guy.
Yeah, you don't.
I started following him. Is so interesting. I started following him in 2016 when I was going to get solar panels on my house. And I had a guy come over to do the thing. And I was thinking about getting solar panels. And he was like, oh yeah, Elon Musk is trying to come up with this idea where every shingle on your house is a solar panel.
Super rad.
And I'm like, oh, that's cool as hell. Right. Now, I had heard of Elon Musk. Like, I knew he was like, I think he founded PayPal. You know, I knew he was like, was doing Tesla, but I didn't really understand him. And then I started like looking into him. And the more you listen to Elon Musk, do not read his tweets, his X posts. You will not get to know truly what Elon Musk truly feels and thinks through his tweets, because a lot of that shit is trolly and sarcastic. Listen to his interviews, two of them on Rogan, and some of the things he talks about, and you start to realize what this guy's really about is just common sense. A stable government, a stable economy, and yes, he ultimately wants to get to Mars, but he's all for making humanity better and being more truthful, more honest. And this interview talks about all that stuff, and I think it's a really good watch.
Yeah, we're not gonna watch the whole thing. I just want to watch a small section.
Okay,
here we go.
But surely people online are like unpacking this,
right? It almost seems fake. Like when you're seeing how we were covering this article that said 55,000 Democrat NGOs were discovered that had been contributing to campaigns and moving things around and pushing propaganda, and they were all connected. And they found it through AI. That you have to go through steps and steps and steps to figure out where the money's coming from. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's all funneling down to this group, and this group does that. And yeah, it's a giant propaganda machine, a giant regime change machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean,
but does it do some good as well?
It does some good. So it's like
this is the part.
It's not like 0% good. If it was really 0% good, it'd be much easier to detect. So there's going to be some percent good that they add in there, but it's like it might be 5% or 10% good, but 95% not.
So is there a way to audit all this stuff and find out, oh, these people are actually just sending food to poor people. These people are actually just helping people with water in third world countries. There's a way to do that and keep funding those?
Yeah. I mean, we have continued to fund things that appear to be legitimate, even with the flimsiest, if there's even the flimsiest excuse. Like, I just say, like, send me a picture of the thing. Like, you could literally have AI generate the picture. But if you're not even willing to try to trick me, then we're like not going to send the money. Okay.
This was the part that had me. A lot of these people on quote unquote principle are not even trying to work with Doge. And then they're wondering why they're losing, they're potentially losing funding on a project that they refuse to attempt to justify is the existence of. Like you said, you have to at least be willing to try to trick me. Like, they're not even trying. They're standing on, and I'm saying with air quotes, principle, because it's not really that. A lot of these programs shouldn't exist at all, and they know that, which is why they're standing on principle. So this whole Doge thing is not trying to end all the good things. It's trying to stop the misappropriation of funds, the out and out fraud, and the stuff that no one and the PACs and the money that is being funneled through 15 layers of nonsense to get to Democrat election engineering.
Partially, yeah. I mean, what Elon's saying here is really interesting because, if you go into this, and I've read a lot of stuff, and I think we talked about it a little bit last week, but, just to kind of give you the laydown, part of it is they're just going to go against whatever Trump's going for. So that's the first line of thing. If Trump's doing something, it has to be bad. So therefore I don't support it and I'm going to attack it. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is, imagine if the government was going to send you $500 a week. Let's say you got a check from the government for $500 and you look around and you go, why the fuck did I just get this check? And you're like, well, this is cool. And you cash it. And then you wait for the police to show up, or you wait for somebody to ask for the money back. And then 2 weeks later or a month later, another $500 shows up. And you're like, oh. And let's say for 5 years, you're getting a check for $500 from the federal government. And all of a sudden, you've incorporated that money into the way you live. And now you can't live without it. Mm-hmm. You need that $500.
Right.
That's another big part of what's happening with the government. The government is wasting money, and it's going to people who are like, yeah, I shouldn't be getting this money, but I don't want to stop getting this money. And so that, a lot of the NGOs are sponsored by people who are working in the NGOs, right? And so they're getting a lot of the money. I think Anthony Mark said something here. At my ex-employer, we kept 20% funding from the U.S. government. So do you want to stop that from happening? That's how you're making your money, even though it may not be right.
Yeah, he does go on to say, too, that some of the money they're spending, I'm not going to get into it, but some of the money they're spending, some of the money that they're spending is almost like a subscription service where you got a gym membership and then you died, but they kept charging your account. Because some of the people that set up these contracts are no longer with the government, literally. And they just forgot to turn them off. And for a decade plus, they just keep paying the same people. And these people aren't even doing anything for it. There's no active contract. But because the U.S. Treasury marked that money for that person and no one thought to turn it off, they just keep getting paid. And I think the number he brought up was like $150 billion in just basically subscription services that no one forgot to cancel, which is crazy.
Yeah. And it makes sense. And I've been on the ground level of this. I've seen what it is. I've seen, $100 million. Here's $100 million that you have to spend in your little government department. And you look at that money as not being real. You may not be able to get it, but you can spend that money any way you want to see fit. And if you can find a way to filter off a percent of that to somehow benefit yourself, and some people, and nobody's going to see me do it, most humans are probably going to do it.
Sure. Yeah.
And if that continues over a long period of time, when was the last time we've really audited the federal government?
I don't remember ever auditing the. Yeah, it's never happened.
No. So it's time, and it's going to be painful and hard. But the way Elon's doing it, if you want to know how Doge is doing it, watch this. He'll be honest with you. If you don't like Elon Musk, you need to watch this video. That's it. And if you think he's lying, well, then you just don't know Elon Musk. The guy is not a liar. I'm sorry. I've seen hundreds of hours of video on the guy. He may be, he may say things that are, not right. He may not be right all the time. But one thing he's not doing is he's not lying about it.
He even says, he goes, we're probably going to make mistakes. If we make mistakes, then we'll fix it. If a
he said that we are going to make mistakes.
He said we are. He said we are going to make mistakes, and when we do, we'll fix it. It's crazy how honest and transparent these people are, yet they're being touted as liars, thieves, criminals, and crooks that are going to steal your social security number, steal your bank account, and run your credit up or something crazy. Like it. What did you call them earlier? Basic bitches. It feels like everyone's just basic nowadays. Like they're not looking past the stupid MSNBC headline.
They aren't.
They're taking clearly corrupt people that have a stake in stopping this current administration. They're taking them at face value, which is, to me, is just, aside from being unintelligent and stupid, I think it's naive. And I'm not sure what's worse, being stupid or naive, but when you're both, it's really bad.
Yeah, and the government also has really old computer systems. You got to remember, the government, like, since its inception, was filing everything with paper. And then at a certain point, when we got to computers, they had to take the stuff that was on paper and put it in computers. And then computers have upgraded, every 5 years to a new generation, to a new system. Now we're in cloud. Now we've got cloud storage. Now we got, right? When I was in the Navy in 1994, I was stationed in Puerto Rico. And at that time, we were really just getting good computer systems, right? Just getting online. Right. And we had all of these pictures and papers and stuff just filed away in filing cabinets. Right. And my boss said, how old is that stuff? I said, well, it looks like it's from the 50s and 60s, the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And my boss was like, all right, throw it all away. Okay. That was what my boss said. I looked at some of this stuff. It was like pictures that were like, you couldn't replace some of the shit. There was documents that just couldn't be replaced. And I was like, boss, I'm like, maybe we should scan these documents, because if we just throw all this stuff away, it's gone forever. I mean, this stuff is like the history of Naval Station Roosevelt Roads, Puerto Rico. And he finally agreed with me, but anybody else might have just thrown that shit away.
Right.
And it's gone forever. So, there's a huge problem in government with different departments talking to each other. Everybody's on a different sort of system. Elon was saying that they were writing blank checks. So a lot in the Treasury, there was no to line for the money, and there was no Y line. There's no to, there's no Y.
Yeah.
There's payments There's money in signature.
Yeah,
You
which
know,
means that you
that's
don't
the
know
huge
where the
problem.
money is going, or what it's being spent on.
And it's not necessarily nefarious. The problem is that's just the way the system worked. Nobody thought that we should have a 2-line so that we can audit this later.
He said at least make it a mandatory that we know what it's for.
Right. So we can follow the money. And maybe in some cases they don't want the money followed, because when you give $2 million to an organization, what percent of that organization is putting that money in their pocket before the rest of it goes to something else? And that's kind of what we're running into. So,
well, but you know, that's what we think. What do you think? If you haven't watched the video, we think you should go watch it and let us know what you guys think in the chat or in the comment section. And we're going to wrap up the show. Shane, can you explain what the members section is going to be?
yeah, we're very excited about the member section. If you're members of this channel, congrats. You're going to want to be there. If you're not a member, consider becoming one, because what Brian and I are planning to do is, instead of having a member show after we've already talked for 2 or 3 hours and then talking to you guys, we're going to actually start doing shows during the week when something happens. So when some sort of news breaks or something interesting occurs, we're going to come on and do a members only show. Short, you know, it'll probably be an hour long, where we're directly talking to you guys in the chat, and you get to, you know, talk with us about what's going on. And we specifically we do work, you know, we talk about it together. Okay. And then you guys get to have your feelings about it. We get to say what we think, and it's kind of all happening live. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So basically every Saturday we take what happened that week and we talk about it on the public show.
Right.
But for members, when something cool happens, we're going to boot up a member stream and we can all talk about it together that day.
Very impromptu. And then if you don't catch it live as a member, you can still watch it in the member section recorded. So if you're at work or have to do something else, you can still see what happened, and you can see what everybody talked about.
Yeah, we think that'll be better than a member show. A, you're going to get more content as a member.
Right.
And B, I think it's going to be more
more interesting.
More interesting.
It'll be more interesting because of these members. The way we were doing our members videos was we were just kind of like, we'd come in and just talk about, we didn't really have anything to talk about. Like, we'd already talked about it all for 2 or 3 hours. Now we'll be able to get in and actually talk about the thing that's occurring, instead of just, you know, what Brian's haircut was like last week. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, that is it for the show. We do got to go. Unfortunately, we have to leave you, but we will be back. We'll be back next Saturday, but also, if you're a member, when something interesting happens next week, we're going to do a member stream. So stick around for that.
All right, guys. We love you guys so much. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming every Saturday. Tell a friend if you enjoyed it, if you got something out of it. I know some people were like, what are these guys talking about? Now they're talking about politics? Well, we're talking about pop culture. And right now, politics is what's the most important thing. So
right,
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. And, you know, in the future, it might be we're talking about some Star Wars controversy or something. I don't know.
Could be.
But we're going to talk about whatever's most interesting and most relevant to us.
Right.
And hopefully you guys can enjoy that. Hopefully, even if the topic is not interesting to you, hopefully you want to hear us talk about it because you want to hang out with us. That'll work too. Like we just talked about penis enlargements.
My life will never be the same.
All right, guys. We'll see you soon.
Love you guys.